Imagine losing everything for doing absolutely nothing wrong. Imagine being exiled from your home, shamed in front of your community, and abandoned by the person you trusted most, all because of how your children looked. This is the story of Adira, a devoted wife and mother, whose life was torn apart the moment she gave birth to her triplets. Her husband, Jalen, had gone to war, leaving behind a wife pregnant with hope. But when the babies arrived, pale-skinned, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, the village erupted in suspicion. Whispers turned into judgment. Jalen returned a changed man and, blinded by pride and disbelief, accused Adira of betrayal. What followed was exile. Adira wandered into the wilderness with her sons. But instead of giving up, she built something no one saw coming. With blistered hands and sleepless nights, she raised 3 exceptional boys, one an artist, one a tech prodigy, and one a gifted speaker. Adira herself rose from despair to become a successful businesswoman and a symbol of empowerment. Then came the invitation, back to the region that had cast her out. What happened when she faced her past will leave you speechless. This isn't just a story. It's a mirror held up to society's prejudices, and a banner of hope for anyone who's ever been wronged. Adira and Jalen had once been the picture of happiness. Their love had been the kind people sang about under the stars in their small village, where dusty roads wound between huts and laughter floated on the warm breeze. They were inseparable. Jalen would often find ways to surprise her, sometimes with a wildflower tucked behind her ear, sometimes with a carved trinket fashioned from the heart of a tree. Adira, in return, adored him with all she had. When Adira found out she was pregnant, she cried tears of joy into Jalen's chest as he lifted her high into the air, spinning her around like they had just discovered the entire world belonged to them. It was a love that felt unbreakable, unshakable. But life had other plans. The call for military service came suddenly. Their country was facing mounting tensions, and all able-bodied men were summoned to serve. Jalen, though hesitant, promised her he would come back. "I'll be home before you know it," he whispered the night before he left, his rough hand brushing over the swell of her still small belly. "And when I return, we'll raise our family together." Adira clung to those words like a lifeline. For months after Jalen left, life trudged on slowly. She wrote him letters that he rarely received, and in return she got scraps of news, an occasional package, a worn photograph of him in uniform, a few hastily scribbled lines telling her to stay strong. She waited, and she grew. When the day of her delivery came, it was brutal. There was no hospital, no clean bed sheets, no sterile rooms. Only the midwives of the village, warm hands, and deep wisdom. The moment the babies were born, the hut was filled with stunned silence. 3 baby boys, but not like anyone expected. Their skin was pale, almost ivory, and their wispy hair was a shocking blonde. Their eyes, when they opened them, shone blue like the deep river pools after the rain. Adira stared at them, her heart caught between wonder and terror. She loved them instantly, fiercely, but she also knew what others would think. Whispers started that very night, murmurs behind calloused hands, sideways glances of the market. Still, she held her head high. She knew the truth. She had never once strayed. Jalen would understand. Jalen would believe her. He had to. For 4 long years, she raised her boys, Elias, Noah, and Silas, alone, shielded them from cruel words and even crueler stares, working odd jobs, gathering water, cleaning houses, sewing torn clothes. Every coin she earned was spent on them. At night, she would whisper stories into their ears about how strong their father was, how much he would love them when he returned. "Your father is a good man," she told them often. "He will see you. He will see past everything else and know you're his sons." But deep inside, doubt gnawed at her soul. Then one blazing afternoon, the news raced through the village like wildfire. Jalen was back. Adira's heart thundered with a mixture of dread and hope. She bathed the boys carefully, brushed their soft hair, dressed them in their cleanest clothes. She wore a simple, clean dress herself, one she had saved for this day. The boys lined up next to her outside their modest hut, fidgeting nervously. She saw him before he saw them. Jalen, broader now, his face more worn, a scar tracing his cheekbone. His uniform hung loosely around his lean frame. His eyes scanned the small crowd gathered to greet him. And then he saw her. For a second, the world stilled. Adira smiled tremulously, her arms beckoning. But Jalen's gaze shifted. His brows furrowed. His mouth opened slightly. And when his eyes fell on the three small boys clinging to her skirts, the warmth in his face turned to stone. What is this?" he muttered hoarsely, stepping back. Adira's smile faltered. "Jalen, these are your sons." "My sons." His voice cracked, loud enough that a few villagers turned their heads. "My sons." He stalked closer, glaring down at the pale-faced boys. Their blonde hair gleamed under the afternoon sun. "How can these white children, be my sons?" he bellowed, voice raw with disbelief. Adira's throat dried up. She tried to reach for him, but he jerked away. "You think I'm a fool?" he spat. "While I fought for my country." "No," Adira cried, tears pricking her eyes. "I swear to you, Jalen, I would never." The boys shrank back behind her legs, clutching her skirt tightly. A crowd was gathering now. Curious eyes. Whispers. Jalen sneered, pain twisting his handsome features into something unrecognizable. "You humiliate me," he said, voice low and trembling. "You shame me before everyone." Adira shook her head desperately. "Please, Jalen, listen to me. There's an explanation." "Theirs." He cut her off with a sharp gesture. "You think I will raise bastards not mine?" he thundered. "Get out. Take them. And leave." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The boys whimpered, not understanding the words but feeling the rage that rolled off the man who was supposed to be their hero. Adira dropped to her knees, arms around her children, shielding them with her body. "Jalen, please," she sobbed. "Please, for the sake of what we had." But he had already turned his back, and the villagers, those who once celebrated their love, now stood watching with cold, judgmental stares. The chief elder, hearing the commotion, emerged from the shade of his hut. His wrinkled face was unreadable. He looked between Jalen's rigid back and Adira's crumpled figure, and the choice was made. "You must leave, Adira," the elder said gravely, "before nightfall." Her heart shattered into 1,000 irreparable pieces. As the sun sank low in the sky, painting the earth in hues of fire and sorrow, Adira gathered her three sons to her chest and whispered promises she barely believed anymore. "I will protect you. I will find a way." They were driven from the only home they had ever known. Their tiny feet kicked up dust as they disappeared into the coming darkness. And the village that had once been filled with laughter and dreams became a place of exile, a place where love had been buried beneath the crushing weight of suspicion and pride. Adira walked for days. The dry earth burned her bare feet. The sun was merciless on her back. Elias, Noah, and Silas clung to her hands and dress, never complaining, even as hunger gnawed at their small bodies. At night, she told them stories under the stars to distract them from the growling in their stomachs. "We are strong," she whispered, more to herself than to them. "We are survivors." Eventually, they stumbled upon a small town far from the village that had turned its back on them. Here, no one knew them. No one cared about the color of her son's skin. People were too busy surviving their own struggles to judge. A kind widow, Miss Harriet, who ran a dusty roadside cafe, offered Adira a job washing dishes and cleaning tables in exchange for a small room above the cafe. It wasn't much, a mattress on the floor, a cracked window that whistled when the wind blew, but it was more than what they had. Adira worked tirelessly, before sunrise, after sunset, scrubbing, mopping, taking on extra work when she could. Her fingers bled. Her back ached. But every coin she earned went towards caring for her boys. The triplets grew. Elias was the dreamer, always sketching pictures in the dirt with a stick. Noah was the protector, standing in front of his brothers when strangers approached. And Silas, the quiet, thoughtful one, always watched his mother with eyes too wise for his years. Despite their hardships, love bound them tightly. Adira saved every penny. When the boys were old enough, she enrolled them in the small town school. It was there that their incredible talent started to shine. By age 8, Elias won a regional art competition. By age 9, Noah became the youngest member of a youth robotics club. And Silas, the quietest of the three, astonished everyone when he gave a speech at a school event so moving that even the mayor wiped his eyes. Word of the gifted triplets spread. Scholarships, sponsorships, opportunities. Things Adira never dared dream of suddenly started to appear. With support, Adira finally dared to dream for herself, too. She took evening courses at a local center, studying business management. Every night, after putting the boys to bed, she pored over textbooks, teaching herself concepts that had once seemed unreachable. Within 5 years, she launched a small catering company. Within 7 years, her company had expanded to 3 towns, employing dozens of workers. Within 8 years, she was invited to speak at women's empowerment events, her story inspiring others. The once broken woman who had fled her village was now a respected businesswoman, mother of 3 brilliant boys, and a symbol of hope. But destiny wasn't finished with Adira yet. On a golden afternoon, 10 years after she had been thrown out, she received an invitation. A regional cultural festival was honoring local heroes who overcame adversity, and her name was at the top of the list. The event was being held in the very region where her old village lay. Adira hesitated. The wounds ran deep. But Elias, Noah, and Silas encouraged her. "Let them see, Mama," Elias said, his voice firm. "Let them see who you are." With her sons, now teenagers, standing tall beside her, she returned. As they stepped onto the festival grounds, whispers rose from the crowd. Eyes widened, mouths gaped. There she was, the woman they had cast out. Her back straight, her head high. Her sons, handsome and bright-eyed and clean, pressed shirts, beside her. Reporters snapped photos. Local dignitaries shook her hand. Children ran to hug her. But the biggest shock was yet to come. Among the sea of faces, Adira saw him, Jalen. Older now, his face more lined, his shoulders slightly hunched. His eyes widened as he saw her and the boys. He stumbled forward, words clogging his throat. "Adira," he rasped. She faced him with calm dignity. He stammered, guilt and regret warring on his face. "I was wrong. I didn't know." She smiled sadly. "You didn't even ask," she said simply. "You judged. You humiliated. You abandoned." Tears filled Jalen's eyes. "I lost everything," he whispered. "After you left, the village turned on me. When they realized the truth." Adira blinked slowly. "What truth?" He swallowed thickly. "Your boys, they look just like my grandfather," he said hoarsely. "He was mixed race, light-skinned, blonde as a child. My own blood carried those genes. I was too blind to see it." The crowd buzzed with gasps and murmurs. It was true. Several elders had later confirmed it. Jalen's grandfather had been half European, a fact many had forgotten or ignored until it was too late. The triplets had always been his own blood, his own legacy. But by then, it was far too late. Adira looked at Jalen for a long moment, then gently shook her head. "I forgive you," she said softly. "But my forgiveness doesn't mean my return." Jalen crumpled. She turned, gathering her sons close, pride swelling in her chest. Elias was already sketching the moment. Noah was recording with his phone. capturing the day their mother was honored. And Silas, steady, wise Silas, walked beside her, his arm brushing hers. A silent promise that they would never be broken again. That night, as fireworks bloomed across the sky, Adira stood surrounded by people cheering her name. Her past no longer haunted her. Her future blazed ahead, bright and boundless. And the woman once thrown away for her supposed shame was now a queen in her own right. If this story moved you, don't just scroll away. Like, share, and comment your thoughts. Who do you think was truly at fault? Could you forgive like Adira did? And don't forget to subscribe for more real, emotional stories that touch the soul and stir the heart.